Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network. Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being here with us tonight for another live edition of the show. And we got a lot of news and information to get into with you here tonight because, well, we didn't have a chance to have a live broadcast last night. So tonight we're going to have another go at it. And, you know, I honestly, with all the shit that's been happening lately with the stream, the fact that the goddamn stream name is on there, you're going to piss me off right out of the fucking gate tonight, aren't you? The fact that the goddamn thing is working is progress enough for me. I could give a fucking rat's ass whether or not the goddamn name is on the fucking stream or not, okay? It's working. We're actually having a show. So past that, I could really give a rat's ass, to be honest with you. That's just me being point blank straight up. Because we had all kinds of issues last week. I thought that was done and over with. And boom, again, last night, right when the show starts, we ended up having, I don't know what the fuck happened. It got hacked or something. Somebody was, had hacked the stream, or I don't know what they, I honestly don't know what they did. And I was already having a bad day yesterday because I had a fucking gnat fly into my ear. I don't know if you've ever heard the sound of what an insect, when it goes in deep inside your ear canal, sounds like, but it literally sounds like you have a, it literally sounds like you have a bird flying around your head. It was just one of the most awful things I've ever experienced. And I didn't have any hearing in my ear for about 2 hours at all. I had no hearing in my right ear for about 2 hours at all until I finally got dislodged. I thought I was going to have to go to the fucking hospital. So yeah, believe me, last night I was fucking pissed because I'd gotten all ready to do the show and we'd had everything, the stream and everything was working fine. Sam Broadcaster was working fine. What are you talking about frequency slamming? Are you talking about the audio? The sound coming out of the audio on the stream, it sucks. There's frequency slamming. What is that what you're talking about? What's going on? Are there problems with the stream? Is it sounding like shit? What's happening? Please alert me if it's happening. What's going on? Does it sound like crap? No. Last night. You're talking about last night. Okay, I got you. It was pretty horrible. But anyway, I was already still not. It's still kind of sore, you know. I don't know. I hope I got it all. I hope it all came out. But I don't know what was going on. It just started. I did about 8 minutes of. I did 8 minutes of a broadcast last night, and I was really into it, and really got my rhythm going. And then all of a sudden, I started getting emails saying that that there's somebody said it was crap that sounds like a cop would play. I don't know what that means, but I don't like it. because there was nothing. I mean, there was no reason why my same broadcaster should have been doing that. Because, like I said, we had those issues last week. I didn't tell you guys either that there was. I ran a virus scan on this thing on the network box last week. And you got to understand, folks, everything is turned off on this computer. There's nothing installed on it except the basic Windows stuff, the FTP program that I use to upload the archives, Sam Broadcaster, that's it. And Windows 7. And I had a Trojan dropper and a backdoor generator, and I had like 7 or 8 really nasty viruses on this thing. And again, you got to understand, the internet has never surfed on this thing. I don't ever open up web pages on the thing. I only ever turn the monitor on around when I'm doing showtime, because I set the archives for 24 hours ahead of time. So it lasts till right about the time the next show starts. So I don't even ever have the thing on or using it. So, I mean, somebody has definitely been going after the stream. Somebody has definitely been doing hack attacks and all that stuff. I don't know. So it was, I got everything worked out, and then last night that happened, and it was just proof that they were going after the box and going after the streams and everything else right now. And it always seems to happen right after I make appearances on radio shows or certain things that start talking about, and it's hard to say or even predict or even know what it is that you're going to be talking about that gets their attention. The only thing I could think of because of last week, which I didn't even know about, because I didn't ever hear anything about it online or see anything, and nobody sent me anything about it, any emails, so I'm assuming nobody else heard about it either. But they happened to have a Council for National Policy meeting over the weekend in Houston. So I don't know. What I'm thinking is happening is that I think that they thought I had knowledge of that, and that I was going to be getting on the air, and because I would have. If I'd have known about it, you goddamn right, I would have been trying to get the money to make the trip. No, there's no Skype viruses because there's no Skype installed on the network computer. Skype is installed on a completely different computer. So whenever I use Skype to go into the like if I have a guest or something, that operates on a completely different computer. And it feeds into feeding into the sound card on the network box. So that's how the stuff comes in. But I was just making sure that everything sounded good for you guys tonight, because we finally got a new preamp. I think Stephen Irving, a few weeks or so ago had donated for us to get a new preamp. And I was waiting until I could get the one I want, and I had sold a piece of my music gear over the weekend, so I was able to get the new preamp that I want. It's not a tube preamp, but it's a damn awesome preamp. It didn't have to be it's analog, so I still got that warmth to it. It's a transformer preamp. It's based on like a Rupert Neve design. It's pretty awesome. So your sound keeps dropping out. Yeah, it must be on your end, because yeah, oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it sounds really good too, man. I don't know if you saw the picture earlier, John, but I dropped a picture of it in the chat room so you guys could see what that looked like. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, but this one will last a little while longer. I waited until I had the extra cash so I could upgrade and get a little better one, because I've been buying $99 preamps and buying cheap ones, and by the time I would have bought another cheap one, I could have had enough money to buy a decent one that's going to last for a long time, one that I'm not going to have to open up and replace the tubes in. And this is it. It's really nice. I'm really fucking happy with it. So, yeah, because I was running on my backup there for a while, and the backup's good for some things, but I have I have a mic, because a lot of all the gear that I have. In 5 years since I've been doing radio, I haven't really bought any new gear for the studio stuff. I mean, computers and stuff, yeah, but not really. Stuff I've had repaired and I've fixed and I've rigged, but it was weird back when I was where I was an assistant manager at a restaurant, and I was making quite a bit of money. During that time I had bought all this. I don't know what it was. I had a good deal. I had a good hookup at that time at Guitar Center, so I had the money at that time because I rarely ever had time to do anything. So I didn't have a lot of time to spend my money, so I would go out and I went out and bought all this studio gear. And I don't even know why I bought it at the time because I wasn't really playing any bands or anything. But someone just told me that I should go ahead and buy all this, microphones and mixers and outboard gear and all this stuff, because there might come a day when I wouldn't have the money to buy all that stuff, but I would, be in a position where I would need it or be playing music or something. So I did that. And lo and behold, 3 or 4 years later, I ended up doing the radio thing, which I had never really ever thought about doing before. And, a lot of people, when you first get involved with this stuff, there's a lot of initial cost to get going. So I think the only thing I've changed microphones. I used to use a condenser mic, but then I started using this SM7B mic instead because it's more for radio broadcast stuff. And all of my stuff, it also doubles as music gear because I record music, of my own or bands that I'm in or, other people's bands and stuff like that. So the beauty part of all this for me is that, anytime we get a new piece of gear, that like this preamp, I mean, this is going to make my voiceovers for the film sound better. It'll make voiceovers for many documentaries sound better, everything. Music that I'm doing, it'll make, basically this kind of preamp is what gives you the ability to make your stuff that you record at home sound like it's recorded in a studio. So I'm really excited about being able to have another piece of gear here that, because all my stuff serves a multiple function. That's why I, being a musician, I already had kind of have the leg up and being able to get going and try to do something, because I know about audio gear and I know about computers and at the time, I knew a lot about information, not near as much as I know now. That's been the greatest reward for doing the show has been, I haven't, maybe we don't always get the financial support that we need all the time, but I have, there is no way in hell that I would be where I'm at right now as a researcher. And there's no way that my knowledge would be where it is now had I not ever started doing the show. That's a fact. It's because, you when you have a responsibility to this stuff and to getting it out there, then it doesn't allow you to stop and it doesn't allow you to pause. And, believe me, I know when to take time out and I relax and stuff. I make sure I get relaxation time in along with my stuff. I do that, but, there's, when you're constantly staying on top of your game because you feel like, there's something at stake, and not just at stake because of how pressing and important the information is and the topics that we deal with are, but when you feel like you have something that like it's a purpose, you know what I mean? That purpose doesn't allow you to just be lazy or complacent about it. So that's one of the reasons why I always like to have, I just felt somebody had suggested that I, take a break between the Secret Right 2 and the Rock Wall film. And I did think about doing that, but, that's why I decided that it would be good for me to go film some stuff on location at some sites, and being able to travel and go to those sites to get footage and stuff would be able to give me, it'd be able to still be working and doing something productive, but yet also getting out from behind the computer, for a couple of days and getting out in the field and that'll be good for me as well. It'll take off the burnout factor a lot more. But that's always why I suggest that everybody does their own thing. It's important. I think it's an important process, and it can, if you're looking to expedite your knowledge base, get yourself involved doing this. At your own peril, I will say. It's not. You gotta have a certain constitution and a certain certain mindset to be able Because there's so many unseen forces, man. There's just so many things that you never, ever think or would have any reason to think you'd have to deal with when you start doing this. I like to make, I like to put those warnings out there to people. I don't want you to be shocked, like I was if you start doing something like this, getting yourself involved. Because, there's always things that, you're not expecting to have to deal with, like, backstabbing and, believe me, when most of the people out there, I don't say all people, but most of them out there, when people say they're all about the info, they're really not all about the info. They're really all about whatever it is they're doing, their project, Because I've been on networks where they say, "Oh, it's just all about the info," and it's really not all about the info. It's really about who is apparently. And most of the time, it's not even real. But who has the possibility to get to drive in the most money for sponsors? And most of the time, those kind of shows are the shows that go right along with what the mainstream intelligentsia of the truth movement, the patriot movement say. They go right along with that. They don't make any waves. They don't get off the script, as they say. And those are the ones that are usually successful. But if you really feel that you want to, expand your research and your knowledge base and what I can't suggest anything better than, and there's so many topics. You might say, oh, well, I don't know what to talk about, or I don't know what to make a movie about. I don't know, just there's so many topics though. And there's, I wouldn't say that there are too many movies out there, too many documentaries out there that say everything that there is to say on any subject. I think that every subject that there is has room to be expounded on, except for maybe 9/11. Let me take that back. Actually, if you're planning on making a 9/11 movie, just don't. I don't want to say that. Go ahead if you want, but I don't know. I think everything that could be said about 9/11 has been said. To be honest with you, but there's so many topics and there's so many things you can explore, and it all hasn't been covered yet, and that's exactly. All the topics I get into, from the CMP to now the Rockwall stuff and the hidden societies, buried ancient civilizations, all this stuff. This has just been a progression of my research. This hasn't been something I've chosen to go into, and that's when I think the people who. Because I talked about this before, when I got into research the CMP stuff, I had the same knee-jerk reaction, and yeah, people quit listening to the show. And now that I'm getting into other territory, those same people who came in because of the CMP stuff are now, bailing ship because I'm getting into other territories. And, I can't be expected to change what I do just because it doesn't fit in with what somebody else believes I should be talking about or getting into. And honestly, it's funny to me. I used to see the same knee-jerk reaction before I had researched the Jesuit stuff at all. I didn't know anything about it. And I used to see the same knee-jerk reaction happen that people have to the Anunnaki stuff and all that, and the Sumerian text. I would see that same knee-jerk reaction. And that always made me suspicious, of why there was that knee-jerk reaction whenever you would bring that up. And now, it's the same kind of thing. It's because when you start going down these territories and you start researching down those paths, you start to find things that, believe it or not, match with things that you can quantify and can find and prove within your research. And that's not something you get probably ever very much from religion itself. And you start to find out that the context, the missing context, what we haven't been told, is what separates ancient texts and ancient artifacts and everything else from being these, what we're told are just symbolic representations of metaphors and, and everything else. And when you get that context, you start to understand that, wait a minute, these are not metaphors or, symbolic pictograms. These are actual things they're representing here. And because you don't have that context, in that context is what's keeping the truth hidden from you. You can't see it, but it's almost like when you start to understand that everything in almost every aspect. I mean, every time I see some cave drawings or something like that, you know, that people tell us, oh, this represents this, I just say it's bullshit. You can just tell that it's bullshit. And that's something you start to get. It's like a filter, you know, after a while. But it actually kind of worked out that there wasn't a live show last night because there really wasn't a lot of material for a Monday. It was kind of it was actually kind of low, but I had started to talk about last night before we were interrupted that I've seen the same patterns. You know, I started this show back in 2007, and right around there is when you started. You know, that was heart of the election cycle, very much the same period that we're in now. And I got kind of sort of sucked into covering all that stuff at that time. What I noticed was that every time during an election cycle, we have more fear mongering, more propaganda, more ramp up, more war drum beating, more wars, rumors of wars, and all this stuff. And I think it would be interesting to see and to keep track of. And that's kind of what we do here with some of the news. But I think it would be interesting, you know, to think about that and follow some of these news stories and kind of keep track of how many of these things that we've been fear-mongered about during the election cycles actually take place after the fact. Because remembering back, I mean, there was a lot of them that just didn't pan out. But this is when they really start to ramp things up because they make this perception that whoever the pre-chosen, predestined candidate is to be president again, well, you know, is somehow going to be glorified as the hero. They did the same thing last time with the gas prices. Right before Obama was elected, when Bush was on his way out, they jacked the gas prices up sky high, and as soon as Obama got elected, they dropped them way down, and everybody just assumed he was the Messiah because he magically made the gas prices go down. And they're doing the same thing all over again, and it's mind-boggling that people can't see these patterns and see that this is happening over and over and over and over again. So we're going to be getting into last night's news. We'll be getting into some of the stories from today. We'll be doing emails, and we'll also be reading from Zachariah Sitchin's The End of Days. Thanks for joining us. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. You find everything pertaining to my work up there, from the stream to listen to our stream here, which, believe it or not, is actually working right now. Thank you very much. And that stream usually plays, when we're not live, plays archive shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, I've been doing a music show, not every Sunday night, but pretty regularly on Sunday nights around 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's where I just play music and stuff I'm into, and local music stuff. Just another outlet. And really, for me, it's been a great thing for me doing it because it's made me actually more enthusiastic about doing this show during the week. It actually made me, because it's a different thing, you know. There's no pressure. I don't have to be all keyed up like I am when I'm doing this, you know, all just jacked up and rah, you know. You get it's like, I mean, it's just like being on stage every night. Those of you who are musicians, if you want to really understand what doing a radio show is like, imagine having to go on stage for 2 hours every night without a set list and have new material every night. You wouldn't think about doing that. Even the best bands would not think about playing, and do it 5 nights a week at least. You know, at least 5 nights a week, maybe sometimes 4. But, you know, I used to do it 6. But you can imagine having to play a live show for 2 hours every night and have new material to come up with every night. Very rarely rehash the old stuff, but occasionally, and play without a set list. Yeah, you think it was crazy, but that's really what doing this kind of show is. That's really how it works out. But also up there at the website, we have links to buy my newest documentary film, The Secret Right Volume 2, Blu-ray, DVD, research packs up there, all kinds of stuff, different varieties. Please get those. If you're still waiting on DVDs and Blu-rays, be patient. They will be there soon, I promise you. And I'll be getting to the post office real soon, so just be patient. And order those there as well. And also we have at the website the Chip and Banner of the Month. The stream bill is due on Thursday. So please act accordingly and help us out with the Chip and Banner if you can. We also have the other Chip and Banner below it to reach our goal for the preliminary budget for the film, the new film pertaining to the rock wall, and that's how you do that. We also have a donate button for larger amounts or any amount up to $10,000. You can use the donate button. We also have a P.O. box. If you absolutely positively can't use PayPal, you can use the P.O. box address. And we also have a subscription. If you want to be a monthly subscriber and have it automatically come out of your account every month, you can do that. And we also have an Amazon wish list down there with my name on it. And those are things that we need for the studio and for the films and things like that. You can purchase one of those off of there, and it'll directly send it to me. That's all you have to do. And that you can do that in lieu of a cash donation. So there you go. Lots of options of how to support our work, and that keeps us from having to have commercials and keeps us from having to become like every other thing out there where, I thought we were trying to escape this putting a fucking $sign on every goddamn thing on the planet, in the words of Bill Hicks. I thought we were trying to escape that. I just, thanks to all our listeners out there, I don't have to do that. And then hopefully that'll continue, because I appreciate, believe me, I appreciate it as much as anybody. I don't want to have to even come to my own website and see ads and bullshit up there, or, I don't want to have to stop my train of thought just because it's ready for a commercial break. I guess it wouldn't be as bad for me, because I could choose to when I want to, if I absolutely positively had to have a commercial, and I'm not even above that. If it's a good product and somebody want to pay us a decent amount of money, to be a sponsor, I wouldn't even be above that, because at least then I'd have the choice of when I could play the commercial. You know what I mean? I could play it. I could play a song and then an ad or something, and I could talk for as long as I wanted before I had to do that. You can't do that on network radio. The breaks are timed by the computer, and if you're in the middle of a train of thought, and believe me, with me and this stuff, that happens a lot. It's over with. You have to stop and wait 5 minutes or whatever for the come back from a commercial break, and then hopefully you can pick back up where you left off and continue on your train of thought. And I mean that's just counterproductive for me to this type of work. When you get on a flow of something, you got to keep going until you end that train of thought, because then you're going to be able to get out, maximum information to people. And that's what it's about. And I don't know. It's real hard for me to justify those goddamn ads. That's for sure. Let's see what we have in the way of emails tonight. Let's see. This is from Matt. He says, "Hey, Josh, I heard you talking about changing your archive audio format, and I'm glad to hear it. The files have been a bit oversized for what is mostly just voice." Well, yeah, but that's always been my thing, is I always like to put it out in high quality, and we are going to be back to those large archive size again. I'm sorry, I tried the AAC thing. I tried doing that. And it worked fine for me, and it worked fine for a lot of people, but a lot of other people, they either flat refuse to use. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why you just can't use a VLC or player. It's free. It runs on Mac. It runs on PC. It runs on everything. I don't care how old your computer is, it'll run. But that seemed to be a big problem for a lot of people. I liked the AEC. It worked fine for me, and it sounded fucking fantastic, and allowed me to put the archives in smaller formats. But, I actually like the high quality. That's why I've always done it that way. You can always record, or you can always re-encode yourself a smaller, you can get an MP3 encoder and re-encode yourself a smaller, less quality version from the large one. That's really not a big deal. To generate extra donations, you should consider only offering a low quality audio resolution in the free archive. Renice's modem quality, 16 kilobits, 16 kilohertz. That's just too low for me. Then offer full resolution shows in AAC and MP3 formats for $5 a month. Well, I don't think you understand. That's another part of the model that I do here. Most networks, yeah, they'll give you a 64-bit stream or something at most, and then they'll charge you, $5 a month, and you get 128K. I do it a lot differently here. With me, you don't, I give people the free will. That's the whole thing about my work, and that may that may be bad and that may keep me from, certain revenue streams and all that stuff. But I really think that a lot of people do appreciate that. I have ears, so I like to hear everything in crystal clear quality. So I broadcast in 128K because I want you to hear, the mic. I want you to hear the preamp. I want you to hear what it's, the audio fidelity. Same thing with the music. I don't want the tunes to be all garbled and, sound digital. So that's another reason why you should support our work. I'm not asking you to pay an extra money just so you can hear the goddamn show in clear resolution. I'm giving you free 128K archives and free 128K stream. That's pretty rare. So that was a part of the model when I started this network in 2009 was to offer to be. I wanted to say, you know what? Fuck ads, fuck commercials, fuck banner ads. I'm not gonna have any of that. I want to have a super high quality stream so you can hear my voice and you hear the music. And then I'm going to have people donate. And I had a lot of people who came on board at the beginning and said, yes, I'll make sure the network stays alive. And those people didn't stay on board. Then I've had other people who've come on board and helped us out and continue to help us out every month to stay alive. That's kind of the thing that I started here. I'm trying to show people that, look, you don't have to put up with this crap over here with these networks who are going to, have shows that 90% of the stuff on there is going to be garbage, and you're not going to, by the end of a broadcast, you're not going to really have known anything you didn't know before. You're going to have to sit through a bunch of Yahoo jack-off callers. You're going to have to listen to this guy, promote his crap and try to get you to buy water filters and dick pills and everything else. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to give my audience the best quality audio I can give them, on top of trying to give them the best information I can give them. And I think that when people see those two things mesh, on top of not having commercials, that will make people give people more of an incentive to support my work and to donate what I'm doing. That's, I'm just really trying to say it's not always easy, and it always isn't what produces the most revenue streams. To set yourself to be an example, to be, of what people should be doing, as opposed to what they're doing in the models of a lot of these alleged truth-telling outlets. And I'm quite proud of the fact that almost for 3 years now, I've been able to maintain that, thank goodness, from the support of our listeners out there. Could not do it without any of those. But and they recognize that that's what I'm trying to do here, is try to set an example. And yeah, it's not always easy. And yes, sometimes we barely scrape by. But, at the end of the day, man, I'm going to know that at least I tried to do something that was outside of the norm and outside of what is expected. And you have to be an example. I feel like a hypocrite to just get up here and talk about this stuff and not at least trying to do something, even in the smallest ways I can. We all can only do so much, and we can't do everything. What you can do to make a difference is not the same as what I can do, and what I can do is not the same as what you can do. But for me, those little things like, offering a super high quality stream and offering super high quality archives for free and not having ads and not having banners, to me, that's my little way of protesting the bullshit that everybody else is doing. And I never dreamed, because I didn't know about the Adnan Khashoggi stuff and the whole, model of selling miracle products and all that stuff to fund black ops and use people like Alex Jones's counterintelligence fronts and all this stuff. I had no idea when I started this, even when I started this network in 2009, that was the model. But all I knew is that wherever that model came from, I didn't want anything to do with it. So it was really, really, I was just all the more vilified when I'd found out about, about the whole Adnan Khashoggi GCN thing that I talk about in the Secret Right Volume 2. I was just like, my goodness, I did the right thing. I was, this is how I'm supposed to do it. So, again, I'm aware of all the pitfalls, and I'm aware that, there are things I could get more listeners, or I could probably, have more revenue streams. But I tell you what, there may be something that we can do, for a, something like that in the future. I'll definitely look into it. Matt also says, it seems stressful for you to not have some automatic income from your life's work here. If you don't totally like my pay for member format idea, may I suggest considering different formats because you'll attract more people with more highly funded projects. There are clever ways to still provide your info for free while still generating a nice base income from your true fans. Well, I'm interested to hear that. Also, I heard you talk about the $1,500 to distribute on iTunes and Netflix. Will you make that money back in a reasonable period of time, or how would that work for you? Royalties are a great source of revenue, my friend. It could greatly strengthen your operation if you use this to your advantage. All the best, Matt. Oh, absolutely, it could greatly strengthen our operation. I don't know how fast we'd make back the $1,500. There's no way for me to quantify that, but I will tell you this. If we had the $1,500 to be able to get Secret Right 2 up on Netflix and iTunes, we are talking about period, point blank, no hype, nothing else. This is the bottom line of it. You're talking about my film going from reaching hundreds or thousands of people as it is now to reaching millions. Literally millions. iTunes has a reach of millions. Netflix has a reach of millions. And the cool thing about the $1,500 thing through this company that does a distributor, great thing about it is once you pay that money, that's it. You don't have to pay them any royalties. Most of these places, you have to pay royalties to iTunes or anything else. You don't here. So for every film we sell on, or rental that we sell on iTunes or Netflix, we're going to get 100% of the profits from that. So yeah, that could definitely be a monthly revenue stream that could probably be there. Because probably what I would do is, just to make that revenue stream even better, I would, if I had the $1,500 to get Secret Right 2 up there, once we started generating revenue from those, I would take that revenue that came in and immediately, as soon as it got up to $1,500, immediately put that into getting Secret Right 1 up there. You see what I mean? And then eventually, as I come out with more films, work on getting those up there. Because, again, because if you get Volume 2 up there, people are going to want to see Volume 1. So we'd have the possibility to have at least 2 films up there, with the potential to reach millions. And yeah, that could, I don't know how much, but I don't know how much it would generate, but it could give us the potential to have, possibly hundreds, thousands, who knows, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people view the film. Because, everybody has iTunes and Netflix, and people go through there. Hell, there's, Jonesy's got some up there. I just think it would be, to me, it's always just been such a tantalizing idea if we had the money to do that, it's just because it would just be so fantastic. Wouldn't it be great to see Secret Right Volume 2 on Netflix and iTunes up there with Jonesy films? Wouldn't that just be, God damn it, I'd love it, Just so every time somebody would go to get a Jonesy film or something, they'd have to go past mine. You know what I mean? You never know, people watch all kinds of crazy stuff up there, but yeah. But thanks for the suggestions there, Matt. And I appreciate your concern, my friend. Let's see what else we have here. This is from Michael. He says, "Greetings, Josh. I just wanted to tell you thanks for opening my eyes and freeing my mind. I found your show about a year ago on YouTube. At first, I wasn't sure about you. I was a hardcore Christian brainwash head of cattle. After listening for a few weeks and doing my own research per your suggestions, I took a hard look at my life and decided that I didn't want to live in fear of a God that was going to destroy me if I wasn't a good little follower. Your reading of the Lost Book of Enki was inspirational in my pursuit of the truth. I purchased the book and read along with you, and you helped me walk out of the cloud of oblivion I was wandering around in with most of the population. Every day I enjoy listening to your show, and I'm looking forward to seeing your new movie. By the way, I chipped in. It's not much, but I was able to skip a few meals to get it to you, and starting a new job soon, so I'm hoping to make a big contribution to your movie. I believe in you and your work. Please keep it up, and know that some of us really appreciate you. Sincerely, Michael from Michigan." That's just unbelievable, Mike. Unbelievable email. I don't even know what to say. This guy went from being a hardcore Christian, brainwash head of cattle, to hearing my reading of Lost Book of Enki and doing his own research. And now he's he's not that way anymore. It's opened up and shit. I don't even know. I'm just speechless. Oh man, that's that. That right there. That's it, man. That's why I do this. That's why I've got to continue. That's why I don't stop. That's why I will never stop. Because as much as it is hard for me to ever admit to myself, because I you know, having too much ego is a very bad thing, but not having enough ego sometimes is terrible. And I have to, you know, I have bravado and the appearance of ego when I'm doing this show and the work, but really that's not the kind of guy I am if you really get to know me at all. So I'm very reluctant when people give me praise or props, and I really don't know how to take it sometimes. Because I always just think that nothing I do is worth a fuck, really. But not all the time, and definitely not when I get an email like that. And I do know that what I'm doing with this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And regardless of everything else, that's all that matters. And I am affecting people, and I am changing people's lives, and I'm getting to look at this, and I'm just appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of everything, of the opportunity to be here and to do this, and I'm appreciative of all the people that help us continue to do this. I'm kind of speechless on that. That's, because the fact that you can even admit, Michael, that you're one of those people. It's very hard for people to even get over themselves in this day and age to even admit all those things you just admitted in those emails. Most people would just keep that to themselves or something and not share that. So that was, that alone, the fact you're able to, go from, as you said, being a hardcore Christian brainwash head of cattle, I mean, in a matter of weeks, and this wasn't as a result of him just believing what I say. This is a result of him doing his own research. And that's just fantastic, Michael. Good for you, and I'm glad that I hope everything works out for you, man. I think your life is going to change in every way, and I think your life is going to be better than it's ever been from here on out, Michael. I mean, you're going to have the bad times, and you're going to have the good times. It's just ups and downs, is the way it always is. But once you've had that perspective change, you will see the way, and you will feel better about God and the universe and what that is or what that could be and what it is to you. Forget what it is to me or anybody else, but your own experience of what that is for the first time, and being able to have that connection with spirituality and to be able to within you know what that is, and to know that that's not quantifiable in anybody's language. It's not quantifiable by anything. It's only your experience, and that's the kind of things that religion doesn't want you to have, even though they try to tell you that that's what their experience of religion is all about. But it's funny how you never get that until you're free and clear of it. So you're an inspiration, Michael, and I appreciate that email, my friend. And you keep going, buddy, and don't let anybody ever tell you any different. You're on the right track. It's from Tony. He says, "Hi, Josh. I came across your site while searching for blogs. I talked about the Transportation Security Administration. Wanted to reach out to you and see if you think your readership would be interested in taking a look at an infographic my team and I built, which focuses on how faulty the TSA has become and a waste of government spending. If you're interested, I'd love to connect." Tony, you can send that to me, man. This email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you here, not pull any punches. Nobody in my listening audience, I can tell you this for a fact, nobody in my listening audience needs any more information on how faulty the TSA is or how it has become a waste of government spending. Everybody in my audience is fully aware of that. But again, what you going to do? Let's see what else we have here. Oh, yeah, whoever sent me the 400 million year old machine, yeah, that was a hoax. Weekly World News, by the way. Oh, what else? This is from John. John says, "Hi, Josh. It's my last email." John had, for just a refresher here before we read this, John last week had sent an email asking about Ron Paul and asking about the libertarians. And you guys might remember I talked a bit about libertarians and the history of that and how, libertarians have always traditionally been known as leftist anarchists. And how, it seems that the globalists are using that, and hiding behind Ron Paul and the right wing with those ideologies, and that would be a good researching point. Well, John here happened to not just hear me say those words, but he heard me say those words and also did what those words suggested, which, believe it or not, folks, is actually rare from people out there that listen to the show sometimes. I mean, we do have a lot of great researchers in our audience. A lot of people actually do their own work, but not nearly as many as we need. But listen to this, and I did some research on this stuff and knew a lot of these connections already, but John has found more here. This is fantastic. He says, since my last email, I've been doing research on Ron Paul, libertarians, and their connection to the powers that be. Ron Paul is connected with Friedrich von Hayek, Ludwig von Mises, and Murray Rothbard. He keeps talking about them. He's also an admirer of Milton Friedman. Seems the Rockefellers funded von Hayek and Robert Welch. Since there is Murray Rothbard, who was funded by the Volcker Fund, so was Ludwig von Mises. The Mises Institute, which Ron is very fond of, is connected with the Jesuits. Now, I didn't know that. And who founded the Mises Institute? None other than Lew Rockwell. Oh, Lew Rockwell. Well, wasn't Lew Rockwell banging Cindy Sheehan, or is banging for a while? Or I heard they were dating. Jesus Christ, that'd be a fucking ugly ass fucking spawn of Satan right there, wouldn't it? Good God, can you imagine a fucking Lew Rockwell and Cindy Sheehan seed?
Yeah, that's right, motherfucker. Lew Rockwell shot his sperm inside a Cindy Sheehan, and I came out kicking. Ha 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 ha! I'm back, bitches.
Oh, man. I was also wondering if I'm on the right track based on your research. Yeah, I'd say you're right on the right track, John. Also, Joseph Farah. Is Joseph Farah, the head of WorldNet Daily, the spokesperson for the CMP's official positions? Alex Jones certainly loves having Jerome Corsi on all the time, who works for WorldNet Daily and is a CMP member. Thanks for the great shows, John. Well, John, WorldNet Daily, and that's where we're going to start tonight in the news. That's our last email. WorldNet Daily actually is the only news outlet that is allowed inside of Council for National Policy meetings. So, your assumption there that Joseph Farah being the spokesperson for the official CMP positions, it wouldn't be far from the truth. And, Jones does have Jerome Corsi on quite a bit. And it's funny, back before I woke up to Jones, when I used to listen to him, I remember when he used to first started having Jerome Corsi on, and he used to say how much he hated Jerome Corsi and didn't like him, and they used to get in big arguments. And then all of a sudden, a couple of months later, they're big buddies, and he's having him on all the time, and all of a sudden they're getting along. I always thought that was strange. But I went up to Corsi and talked to him a couple of years ago, back in 2008, at this event here in Dallas. And it's funny. So it's funny to go and ask these members of the CMP about the CMP, because they all seem to have different answers. and I find that very interesting, because, a lot of them, when you ask them about it, oh, I'm not a member, I've never been a member of that, oh, God, blah, 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 we get all freaked out. And then other them will be like, oh, it's nothing. It's just, Phyllis Schlafly says, oh, we're just having dinner meetings. Yeah, you blue blood, Merovingian piece of shit, you. But Corsi's very open about it. He even admitted on a show one time that he was on a network I used to be on, that the CMP was going to run him as their presidential candidate last time. And I asked him in person about him being. He go, oh yeah, I'm a member for that. Oh yeah, they were going to run me as their presidential candidate in 2008. Yeah, I'm a member. Yeah, blah blah. Yep. I mean, he's very open about it. I didn't press him on it, but he was very nice and wasn't rude about when I asked him about it. So, but yeah, I mean, that's, you have these guys who cover different, as I've talked about before, you have all these different members, and they all cover different elements, and those different elements and different topics that they cover are generally, they're part of, the smoke screen. So, But yes, this was reported by WorldNet Daily over the weekend. Santorum raises $1.7 million in Houston meeting. Funny, they have think about this. They have a CMP meeting this weekend in Houston. Santorum raises $1.7 million this weekend and then turns around just 2 days later and sweeps the South, takes Mississippi and Alabama in the primaries. I mean, this is these are very much meshed, folks. I mean, they're putting the big funding behind this guy because he is the spokesman for what they represent. I mean, back just a few weeks ago, he said that the Crusades are misinterpreted, and that the Crusades are pro-liberty, or they're what America really stands for. Even though the Crusades happened way before the United States was even around, but that doesn't matter to him. And that falls right in line. I mean, when I saw that statement by him, the Crusades are what represents, modern American values. And then I saw, I think about that clip at the beginning of the Right 2 from, MSNBC, Keith Olbermann, where they're talking about the Humvees and Blackwater driving, the Templar 1, the Crusader 2. And then you think about all my work and all my research into the CMP and Alex Jones and all this stuff and all these priest class ties, but then tie directly into these bloodlines and these Anunnaki stuff. I mean, it just becomes very clear, folks, what it is that we're really dealing with here and why the CMP stuff that I've been screaming about for 5 years is important. It was a big day for Rick Santorum beyond his winning of the Kansas caucuses. The GOP presidential candidate Santorum raised $1.7 million in campaign contributions and pledges in a series of meetings at the Council for National Policy here over 2 days. Newt Gingrich canceled his appearance at the same event. The Council for National Policy is a conservative organization that includes organizational leaders and high-dollar political contributors. Santorum met privately with members of the group in 2 meetings before appearing before the entire membership Saturday afternoon. Gingrich had been scheduled to speak at the dinner tonight, but canceled his appearances 2 days ago. Santorum's campaign staff was excited about the success of the meetings. Well, one of the big reasons why this is all about tax cuts and tax breaks. That's why these guys are always raising big funds and big money, because when you're a member of the Council for National Policy, what that allows you to do is because they're a 501c3 tax exempt organization, any contributions that your company makes or you personally make to the group, which then goes on to fund their larger operations, most of which, are secret or black ops or were done, on the sly, that money goes to fund all the big right-wing agendas. And then legally, all of those companies and individuals who are members of the Council for National Policy are able to write all of those contributions off as a tax-exempt charitable donation. So not only are these guys able to, through the CMP, able to fund all the big right-wing operations and all their big agendas, but all of the people and the companies and stuff that get involved with it get themselves a huge, gigantic tax cut out of it. So we may never know who all is in these meetings. We may never know what all they talk about and whatever have you. We may not know everything about the group, folks. But the fact that we know that this is how they fund their right-wing operations while at the same time giving their members gigantic tax-free cuts, cuts from their taxes by these charitable contributions they make. I mean, it's a big racket. So, I think that sort of that model of, why there's secrecy and stuff, I mean, it speaks volumes to where people like Jones and other people get their funding from. They don't want to know, they don't want anybody to know who's contributing what. They don't want anybody to know where this money's really going to because, that's just the public stuff. Contributions made by CMP members and CMP groups like the Coors family and other organizations out there, that's just the public stuff. Lord knows how much cash is being thrown around and funneled under the table, what else is going on behind those closed doors. And again, you'd never know because they don't make their memberships list, their recent membership list public. And very rarely do they ever announce when they're going to be having any meetings. Last time that we had, I would say this year, when is the Democratic National Convention this year? Let me look that up real quick. Because not last year, but the last time they had the Democratic National Convention, I know they're having the Republican one in Florida this year. I think it's in June. I wish I could get out there and cover that. September 3rd, 2012. Okay, so the CMP generally meet 3 times a year. They meet generally in the spring, the summer, and the fall or winter. I think next time it might be in Dallas, because generally in the past when they've had a meeting in Houston or San Antonio, generally the next one after that's in Dallas. They've had one in Austin and Houston now the past couple of years. They're definitely due to have one in Dallas, but fuck, man, if they have one in Dallas, it's not going to really do me any good. You know, it'd be better for me to go one that was out of state somewhere, so they wouldn't expect me to be coming. But man, if they have a CMP meeting in Dallas, they're going to be looking for my ass. They're going to have fucking posters up and Secret Service guys with my picture in their wallet and shit. You know, they have one here and I go to try to cover it. They're going to know I'm coming for them. But the DNC is going to be held on September 3rd, 2012. So I would say, well, last time they had the DNC in Denver, and when Jonesy was running his op he ran with Michelle Malkin. If you've ever seen that op, go Google Alex Jones, Michelle Malkin. It's a bunch of fucking stage bullshit, as everything is with Jones. But yeah, last time they had the DNC, the CMP were slick. So they decided while the hoopla and media was surrounding the Democratic National Convention that they would have their CMP meeting during that time. So, yeah, you can bet that the week of September 3rd, 2012, or the couple of weeks before that in August, everybody needs to be paying attention, scouring the internet, and looking for clues. Because they may announce, sometimes they do announce where it's going to be at ahead of time. And if we could find that out between now and September, that'd be fantastic, because we may be able to get out and cover that. So, well, there it is. Interesting stuff. They're now stoning emos to death in Iraq. I mean, what's wrong with that? You mean it's not all right to stone emos? I stone emos all the time. I'll throw rocks at them and say, "Go listen to The Cure, punk." No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. What do you expect? I mean, you know, they still chop people's heads off over there. I mean, you're just going to have a hard time convincing me of the plight of, you know, the emo teenager in Saudi Arabia. You know, I got news for you. One of two things. Either don't be emo or don't live in Saudi Arabia anymore. Past that, I don't know what to tell you. U.S. military unveils non-lethal heat ray weapon. Yeah, active denial systems. Shit I was telling people about 5 years ago that everybody told me I was a conspiracy theorist about. I love it. Yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's fact. Put that on a shirt, put that on a sticker, and fucking stamp it on everything. Yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's fact. I mean, it's just so funny. And I've been seeing this more and more lately, especially the past couple of years. Things that, you know, a while back ago I talked about and told people about, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now it's in the news and they're like, oh, well, yeah, whatever. So, yes, active denial systems, which I've been talking about for like 4 years now, are a reality. They can heat up your skin with these things. And, of course, these are not going to be used in Iraq, and they're going to test them there so they can use them on us. I don't know what else to say. This is interesting. I wouldn't have come across this had I not just been curious. But you think about the housing market, you think about the real estate market and the whole financial landscape right now as it is. And, you know, companies are going belly up. Churches are going belly up. The Crystal Cathedral is getting a new name in the congregation of the financially struggling Orange County megachurch. Will relocate its senior pastor announced on Sunday. The ministry will be renamed Hope Center of Christ. Sheila Schuler-Coleman said in a short video posted on the Crystal Cathedral website. An announcement regarding the new location will be made in the next few weeks. She said, yeah, this thing's got like pyramids, and I mean, this is a very occult-looking building. And it's got glass pyramids and, you know, these real The Crystal Cathedral. Well, they're putting it up for sale, and it makes you wonder, who in this goddamn economy, who in this day and age could have the money to buy this fucking massive complex? Well, lo and behold, the church sold its iconic glass-paned cathedral to the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orange County last month to emerge from federal bankruptcy protection. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's good that we're clear on that. So, the markets are in the toilet. Real estate is in the toilet. Everything's in the toilet. Who has the money to buy a big, massive crystal cathedral complex? Of course, the Roman Catholic Diocese. Whap, whap. Yep, keep filling up that collection plate, suckers. Yeah, even though you can't eat or put food on the table, well, by God, you're going to get into heaven, right? Jeez. Oh, man. Take that money out of the collection plate and hit the donate button with it, for God's sakes. Oh, man, there's, the technology. It's just, I talk about technology all the time because I'm into that. I've always been into technology, and I've always stayed on top of it for years and worked in the tech industry and stuff. And it is absolutely staggering the rate at which technology is just getting better and better and better. And what is top of the line. It used to be that something would be top of the line. It'd be top of the line for a good while. Not anymore, man. You can get something to be top of the line. 2 months, it'll be obsolete. And the things that are happening with this technology behind closed doors, and the things that are happening with this technology that we don't hear about, are, my goodness, the stuff that we're already hearing about is unbelievable. But the technological technocalypse is definitely upon us. From drugs to help you avoid eating meat to genetically engineered cat-like eyes to reduce the need for lighting, a wild interview about changes humans could make to themselves to battle climate change. Oh, this is rich. Well, I'm all ears. To battle climate change. Let's start genetically. Oh, man, this is great. Here it comes. Again, yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's fact. The threat of global climate change has prompted us to redesign many of our technologies to be more energy efficient. From lightweight hybrid cars to long-lasting LEDs, engineers have made well-known products smaller and less wasteful. But tinkering with our tools will only get us so far because however smart our technologies become, the human body has its own ecological footprint, and there are more of them than ever before. So some scholars are asking, what if we could engineer human beings to be more efficient? Boy, this is... You smell that? You smell that? There's a distinct aroma. It smells kind of like horse shit mixed with... you smell that? Oh, it's like horse shit mixed with eugenics. It's a very distinct palate. A new paper to be published in Ethics, Policy, and Environment purposes a series of biomedical modifications that can help humans themselves consume less. So here we go, genetic tinkering to save Mother Earth. Some of the proposed modifications are simple and non-invasive. For instance, many people wish to give up meat for ecological reasons, but lack the willpower to do so on their own. The paper suggests that such individuals could take a pill that would trigger mild nausea upon the ingestion of meat. Well, fuck that. Who wants that? It doesn't sound like any fun. You want to get... Yeah, let's genetically modify ourselves so we get sick. Come on. There's this, again, this is taking out free will. If somebody wants to fucking eat a goddamn half a slab of fucking cow and then wash it down with malt liquor and arsenic, you know what? God damn it, let them. That's their choice. You may not agree with it. I may not agree with it. That may not be for you, but God damn it, you don't go genetically tinkering people so that the free will, you have free will to kill yourself. You have free will to live a long, healthy life and not eat meat. That's up to you. That's your perspective. We should all be able to live the kind of lives we want to live, period, end of story, even if that life means it's going to be terribly cut short by colon cancer and, cirrhosis of the liver. But, this tinkering with our DNA so we can change people's willpower and stuff like that, man, my God. Do we even have to discuss what bad news that is? The paper suggests that such individuals could take a pill that would trigger mild nausea upon the ingestion of meat, which would then lead to a lasting aversion to meat eating. Yeah, I bet it would. You get sick from something once, you generally don't eat it or drink it again. There's been plenty of alcohols out there that in my younger days, I got fucking wasted on once. No, never touch it again. The smell, Malibu rum. Oh, Jesus God. If I even smell that fucking suntan lotion smelling swill, I just fucking want to puke. That and fucking sour apple pucker. Ugh. Jesus God. Kill it before it breeds. Other techniques are bound to be more controversial. For instance, the paper suggests that parents could make use of genetic engineering or hormone therapy in order to birth smaller, less resource-intensive children. The lead author of the paper, S. Matthew Lau, is a professor of philosophy and bioethics at New York University. Lau is keen to point out that the paper is not meant to advocate for any particular human modifications or even human engineering generally. Rather, it is only meant to introduce human engineering as one possibility, partial solution, or to climate, in a partial solution to climate change. He also emphasized that the voluntary nature of the proposed modifications. Neither Lau or his co-authors, Andrew Sandberg and Rebecca Roach of Oxford, approve of any course of human engineering. They favor modifications born of individual choices, not technocratic mandates. Well, okay. Well, that sounds better than the alternative. Okay, well, yeah. Yeah. If you're talking about something that's going to be treated in the way that plastic surgery is treated, because it's really a small subsection of the population of people that, decide to have plastic surgery, boob jobs, all the rest of it. But more and more people are doing it. But there's still, for the most part, a lot of people who, they're happy with what, the creator gave them, and so they don't want to change themselves. But the whole problem with that is that it's very hard to predict human trends, and it's very hard to predict how things will be marketed by the powers that be through television and movies and the rest of this stuff, magazine, any kind of media. And so this kind of thing definitely has the possibility to become like any other trend. That's what all this technological stuff does. It, to me, has the possibility to become like every other trend that we've ever fallen into. And we're just so keen to trends and to fall into all these trends that it would not be very hard for these people to sell these genetic modifications in the same way they sell breast augmentation or vaginal rejuvenation surgery. You can believe that now? So women can, women can actually have, fists and arms and legs and wiffle ball bats covered with latex gloves and elephant cocks and everything else shoved all in there for just forever now. And they don't have to worry about it being stretched out because, hey, if their pussy gets all stretched out, all they got to do is go get some vaginal rejuvenation surgery and boom, that's motherfucker's tight as a mouse's ear again. So you have the thing where it becomes trendy and then it becomes marketed to much in the same way that cults through marketing have done, where you have you have the people that are in the Apple cult, and I like Apple products too, but I'm not a culty. You have people that are cults to brands, brand cults, and I think that's what these human modifications stand the possibility to become, this thing where that's what everybody strives for, these technological modifications to enhance their lives. And again, I've referenced this book many times, but it's a fact, it's in there. Zbigniew Brzezinski's 1969 book, The Rise of the Technotronic Era Between Two Ages. That's exactly what he describes, happening right around the time that we're living in right now. He talks about how in the 21st century, it won't be about, working a job or working in a career to climb the corporate ladder and become, the top of your field. It will be all about acquiring wealth to be able to buy these technological enhancements that will enhance and in some cases extend your life, and that through this technological feudalism, you'll have the haves and the have-nots, and you'll have the people who, who are willing to go with the system and go with the what the intelligentsia and the establishment wants, and those will be the people that get the genetic modifications, and people that don't want to go with that will remain poor, and, there you go. The people who take the technology will then rule over the people who don't have the technology and the human modifications. They'll rule over them like gods over cattle. And this is not coming in the future. This is coming right now in our day and age. So that's a fantastic article. I'm not going to read it all because it would take forever for me to read, but I'll drop it in the chat room for you guys to read. We got a lot more news tonight. Man, I'm going to try to get into reading Sitchin tonight. We may or may not. We may just have to end up doing the news. We'll see how much more we get into, but definitely a lot more show left for you here tonight on the broadcast. Thanks so much for being with us. My website, theglobalreality.com. And I'm your host, Josh Reeves. We're going to take a break, come back. All right, back here with you on the show, Global Reality, right here for you on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It's Tuesday into Wednesday, the 13th, into the 14th of March, 2012. And we thank you for being with us here tonight for another late night edition of the show. My website is theglobalreality.com. And up there, we have how you support our work to keep us commercial free and all that. We have the Chipping Banner for the month. We're about to the middle of the month, and we have a long way to go on our Chipping Banner, so we could really use some help on that Chipping Banner right now. If we get some help on that, the operating costs for the month, that'd be fantastic. We have the stream bill coming up due Thursday, so please act accordingly and help us out there if you can. I have another email here. Came in. I didn't close out of the last email that we had, so we had another one that came in from Rick, and I want to make sure I got this one out. Rick says, Josh, did you know that Adnan Khashoggi is connected to Prez Museveni, Uganda's half-brother Salim Salah? No, I did not know that, but, I mean, it's 100% verifiable and absolutely no surprise because of the other connections that he does have. I mean, my God, we found out, that's how I knew immediately the underwear bombing thing was a total operation, was because the guys, the underwear bomber's dad that sold him out to the feds, let him know, just conveniently let him know ahead of time that he was going to blow something up, happens to be best friends with Adnan Khashoggi as well. Salim Salah brokered a deal with the LRA Joseph Kony not to come to peace negotiations. LRA Kony now primarily operates in DRC Congo, where Khashoggi's company Barrick Gold now operates. Now, I did know that. Yeah, I knew about Barrick Gold. Khashoggi and CMP, via Bill Frist, is connected to Uganda's government, which has killed millions of people. The promoters of this Kony horse shit are there to cover up the truth and to get the U.S. into Congo. And, what's important about those connections, Rick, that you're pointing out there, are the fact that I've seen Jones now coming out trying to act like he's, debunking the Kony thing, but you don't sure as fuck hear him mention any of that stuff that Rick just mentioned, now do you? It really is about gold and probably antiquities too, absolutely. Well, the biggest gold heist in, what do you think the whole 9/11 Truth Movement and Jones being the figurehead of that was for? It was so they could pull off the biggest fucking gold heist in history. And they did that, and I bet you $1 to donuts, even though there's no real way to ever prove it. I bet you $1 to donuts that goddamn gold they're selling out of fucking GCN is stuff that's come as a direct result of 9/11, maybe even come from the Twin Towers. Wouldn't surprise me in the least bit. As it so turns out, Sirius rises over Uganda every year, too. All the best. Love what you're doing, Rick. Thanks, Rick. That's some fantastic info. I'm going to have to make a note of that info, as well as the stuff that John sent in about the stuff with Ron Paul and all that, and the libertarians. Please, John and Rick are both great examples of people who do their own research and actually find stuff that that I don't find. And so I'm making a note of both of y'all's emails because y'all are finding good stuff. Y'all are, y'all are going to probably end up being responsible for there being a 2.5 or maybe even a 3 edition of The Secret Right. And I may even knock that out and get it done quick this year after the Rockwall film thing is done. We'll see. But I've got some leftover stuff that I didn't get in there. You guys are finding more stuff. Please continue to dig and please continue to send it to me. And believe me, if I end up using some stuff that came from you, I'll make sure, in the credits, you get a shout out or whatever for sure. But both of those things would definitely be great in maybe another, a web edition or another edition of the Secret Right in the future. So that's another reason why I always encourage everybody to not think I will never be able to provide you with all the answers there is. Nobody can. But hopefully what I try to do is to try to gain some insight into some of the things that haven't been given as much, much light of day. And maybe something has given a light of day. Maybe we can relook at that too and find things that people left out about that. I mean, we see that all the time. But again, that's another reason why I just can't stress enough that you always do your own research, and it really does pay off. And it really can help what I'm doing just by you going and finding. I mean, sometimes you go and you'll find something. Yeah, I already know that, but don't let just because the fact that I already know something that you bring to me, don't let that discourage you from doing your own digging. But I just think that's what, to me, what this is all supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about somebody following a leader or somebody joining a group or somebody being, worshiping this person over here or this host over here, fighting with this host over here. And it's just supposed to be about people who are trying to do the right thing and people who are trying to get to the bottom of this stuff and to gain a new perspective and gain the real truth, and then sharing that with each other so that can be put out there. There are certain people out there who have this mindset, who somebody wouldn't do like what John or Rick or somebody else has done with the info. They'd hoard that to themselves. And that's not going to get the information out there. Instead of being jealous because somebody has a bigger platform than you or something else like that, why not try to use that person who has a bigger platform than you to extend the information? Instead of trying to hide your information jealously and jealously guard it, I don't mean going and just throwing your pearls before swines either, but, I think that that gets lost in all this sometimes. People, you have to realize that, just because somebody like myself, is known by a lot of people, doesn't mean that we're any different than you. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. And so anything that can help in that quest to get to the bottom of all this stuff, I'm all about. So I very much appreciate John and Rick and your contributions and what you guys have sent in with some of that new info. Fantastic. I hope you guys keep up the work and keep the good work, and please keep researching and don't stop, because you guys are just taking the stuff that I've found and expanding on that. And that's what we need more of it than anything right now. Is we need people doing their own research, finding new information, and people contributing to people like myself who've been doing this. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I'm established, and we need financial support to do more. And I think that at the stage of the game that I'm competing at now, there should be absolutely no reason why month to month or film to film we should have to be worrying about this stuff, because I'm not going anywhere. That's for damn sure. And I'm going to do this forever until I'm either dead or shit changes, whichever comes first. Let's jump back into the news tonight. See what else we have to cover here. CNN reports on California's eugenics history and how they assisted Nazis. That's a video that's up. I don't know if we have that up on the website. Manhunter may have gotten that up on the website already. I'm not for sure. But, it's just a fascinating video. It's from Anderson Cooper, actually. And what blew me away about it is because, a lot of us, some of us have known for years about, Brown Brothers Harriman and, these holding companies in New York and Prescott Bush, all these guys getting caught and then let off for funneling money to Nazis and everything else. But when I saw this clip, I was just like, for all the stuff that we put on Hitler and for all the blame that we put on him and what he did, and the very few people out there that know that he was, just like all these tin pot dictators, was funded and set up by the same people with the same agenda, I was just, blown away by the fact that here on CNN is an admission that Hitler and the Nazis took their tip and took their, the advice, or took the program of eugenics from the state of California, ladies and gentlemen. So eugenics and forced sterilization, all this stuff that Hitler was doing and was so notorious and bad for doing, was already happening in the home of the brave and the land of the free in the United States before Hitler was even around. And they are admitting now that he took his nod from the state of California. Not that that's a real big shock, but my God, folks. That just proves right there that it's the power structure and these ideologies of this stuff that institute this at the state level, the local level, the national level, and the world level. They can assign whatever figurehead and cult of personality, deity, and patsy, and, fall guy, whatever else. They can attach whoever they want to these things. But the fact of the matter is, we know that, but that's why they want us to get caught up in these leaders. That's why they get us caught up. Oh, Hitler was a very, very bad man, and George Bush is the most evil president ever, and Barack Obama is terrible too, and he's an evil communist. And so we're constantly playing the blame game. Same thing they do with 9/11. We're arguing about, who was behind it and what caused it, instead of seeing the history of people who have done this and looking at the world agenda. Especially with 9/11, it's like, you just see so many different things. And the idea that it was the United States and the United States alone behind the operation of 9/11 is a lie as well. A lot of people think that's the truth, and that certainly has been a truth that's been attempted to be forced on people. But if you think that the United States alone was responsible for 9/11, you got another thing coming, man. These guys are all colluding together all over the place. So that was just unbelievable to see that, admitting on CNN that Hitler took his nod for eugenics and got all of his eugenics stuff from the state of California, which was already using this stuff. That's a hell of an admission. And earlier we talked about this, genetic engineering of traits. Well, listen to this. Now they're talking about they can do that also, the same thing here, totally different article, with nanobots. Scientist says the brain is like a computer and we can fix it with nanobots. You cannot make this stuff up. Ed Boyden leads the synthetic neurobiology group at MIT Media Lab. He is working on developing technologies and tools for analyzing and engineering brain circuits to reveal brain neurons are involved in different cognitive processes and using this knowledge to treat brain disorders. What is synthetic neurobiology? The synthetic biology part is about taking molecules from the natural world and figuring out how to make them into little machines that we can use to address complex brain problems. Moreover, if we can synthesize the computation of the brain and write information to it, that allows us to test our understanding of the brain and fix disorders by controlling the process and running a piece of software on the brain as if it is a computer. The brain as a computer? We probably shouldn't be surprised that your initial training was in electrical engineering and physics. Training as a physicist was very helpful because you are trained to think about things at a logical and intuitive level. Electrical engineering was great too because neurons are electrical devices and we have to think about circuits and networks. I was interested in big unknowns and the brain is one of the biggest, so building tools that allow us to regard the brain as a big electrical circuit appealed to me. So, do you have a circuit board of the brain? It's not even known how many kinds of cells there are in the brain. If you were looking for a periodic table of the brain, there's no such thing. I really like to think of the brain as a computer. Let's take an iPhone. There are millions around the world. They all have the same map, but at this moment, they are all doing different computations. From firing birds at a wall to reading an email, you need more than just a map to understand computation. And this goes on and on and on, but he says, what would you do with the data? One strategy we're working on is what you might call throughput screening for the living brain. HTS has been used for decades to for example, screen for genes important to a biological process, but how do you do it within the living brain? We are working on technologies like those robotics or three-dimensional interfaces, which would allow you to target information to thousands of points of the brain so you could determine which circuits are important to a given cognitive process or fixing a disorder. And this is such a Trojan horse, because they're going to tell you that this stuff, does one thing, and people are going to be going in to get these augmentations that supposedly do one thing, and meanwhile it's going to, do something else to your brain that they're not telling you about that's going to have an effect on you, whether that be, maybe slowly burning out the front of your cerebral cortex so you get a lobotomy, or, making you docile or controllable or anything else. It's just a Trojan horse, because when you look at the people who are funding this stuff, it's the big medical industry. You look at who's funding all of the takeover of everything that goes into our body, the medical industrial complex, which, of course, has always been an arm of the big bankers. When the big bankers being an arm of the priest class, you see where this is going and you see where this is coming from. The big bankers have always been hand in glove with the medical industrial complex. The Rockefellers have had, offices inside of medical insurance companies and stuff like that for years. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep 'cause I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. Oh, here we go. It's back. Yep. Von Braun was right. Communism, terrorism, then asteroids and aliens. Here we go. It's back in the news every day now. Scientists, nuclear bomb could stop asteroid from striking Earth. Somebody get Baby Eater Willis on the phone and tell him we need his fucking help. Scientists at New Mexico's Los Alamos National Laboratory believe that a well-aimed nuclear weapon could actually save the world if a major asteroid were hurtling towards us, according to a report at MSNBC's Space Blog. Researchers have used supercomputers to model scenarios. See, there you go. They're using super cute computers to model scenarios involving asteroids. Hello? Somebody wants to get some money. Oh, yeah. See, this is how they're going to justify having the X-37B, up there, which can launch multiple tactical strikes on multiple targets from space, which is supposed to be illegal. This is how they are going to sell the public on the funding they need for space supremacy. And anybody at that point that tries to get off the plantation of global government, zap from space. I can't believe that. That lets you know they're going forward with this, folks. They don't spend that kind of money on those kind of analysis unless they're going forward with an operation of some kind. But at the same time, it could very well be that they do know that there is, a threat to us, and they're not telling the public about it. And they are aware that, it very well could be that they're not faking this. But they also know that we have the technological capabilities to be able to do it. But telling the public that we have the technological capabilities to shoot down an asteroid would not really get the funding they're looking for. You know what I mean? There has to be a perceived threat for people to go, oh my God, here, take everything, to give up the kind of money they're looking for space supremacy, essentially. So it does make sense that they would take this approach, just in case, there's a chance that something might hit us. No, they want to make sure that they keep us in the dark about this stuff while at the same time having an excuse to get their funding. Researchers have used supercomputers to model scenarios involving a 1,600-foot long space rock and a 1-megaton nuclear weapon. Early results were surprisingly favorable. The supercomputer, called CeeLo, utilizes 32,000 processors, and in 3D modeling study demonstrated that the nuclear weapon would, in the words of scientist Bob Weaver, disrupt all of the rocks in the rock pile of this asteroid, and if this were an Earth-crossing asteroid, would fully mitigate the hazard represented by the initial asteroid itself. Nuclear bombs would be deployed only as a last resort, Weaver stresses, if impact were imminent, which in astronomical terms is measured in months, not minutes. The explosion could also result in dozens of smaller but still destructive impacts, depending upon the size of the fragments created. Other methods of changing an asteroid direction would include a gravity tractor, a robotic probe sent out to attach itself to the oncoming space rocket, thereby changing its mass and velocity, possibly directing it away from Earth's orbit. In a less elegant fashion, the same spacecraft could be slammed into an asteroid in hopes of deflecting it and sending it off in a new direction, like the balls in a game of croquet. A small comet fragment or meteorite is believed to have exploded 3 to 5 miles up in the atmosphere over the Podeka Maya Tunguska River in Russia on the morning of June 30th, 1908. Yeah, well, some people believe it was a UFO. The resulting blast is estimated to have been the equivalent of 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb, knocking down a possible 80 million trees over 830 square mile radius. Raw story was unavailable to reach Bruce Willis for comment at press time. Well, they took my little tip there. Oh yeah, yeah, and fucking they're gonna have Aerosmith on the horn just to milk this motherfucker as far as they can. Don't want to close my eyes. I need a fucking wheelchair because I'm old, baby, and I don't want to sing a thing. You're going to have, by the time the asteroid hits, fucking Steven Tyler will be like 80. Just give me some reverb and a cigarette. I don't care. I'm all good. Jesus. I saw this article earlier, and it caught my eye because, well, I mean, just the headline of it was from space.com, and everybody on Earth is very aware of planetary events and things that happen, and oftentimes, our planets are close to the Earth, and you can see them a lot better than you can. I mean, sometimes the moon looks, because of the, it's like a lens trick, essentially, from our atmosphere. At certain times, the moon on certain places on Earth will look like it's, fucking really close to the Earth. But I've never seen them have to try to put out a public, or to run a PR campaign, essentially, for the appearance of planets. So I found this odd, and then when I went and read all the comments in the article, I was surprised to find out that there are quite a few people who seem to believe, and I don't, maybe you guys can look into this further for me, but there seems to be quite a few people, according to these comments, that believe that what they're telling us is Jupiter and Venus being seen very close to the Earth right now are actually two gigantic motherships that are monitoring us. Now, I guess if you had a telescope, it'd be pretty easy to disprove that, but I'm just telling you what people are saying, what people are believing. But I whether that's true or not, the fact that I mean, the only reason I would even think that even it might be a possibility or could be a possibility, I'm not saying it's true, I'm just saying in the realm and scope of possibilities, the fact that they have this article, Jupiter and Venus could be mistaken for UFOs. A preemptive campaign to warn people. By the way, if you see any UFOs recently, don't worry, those aren't UFOs. That's just Jupiter and Venus really close to us. Jupiter and Venus will mingle in the night sky tonight, March 13th, and Robert Massey of the Royal Astronomical Society says he would not be surprised if the pair of planets are mistaken for UFOs. Venus and Jupiter are at what we call a conjunction, and that means that they just appear close in the sky. Massey, the deputy director secretary at the RAS, told the English newspaper The Daily Telegraph. Now, I should stress that doesn't actually mean these two planets are physically close together. Jupiter is something like 7 times as far away from the Earth as Venus is, but it's an optical illusion. They're both in the same direction. The planets will look like two blazing beacons in the sky, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the police and the Ministry of Defense and the Royal Air Force get calls about UFO sightings, because it's a spectacular sight and quite unusual, and I think for that reason people will really be struck by it. In fact, the planet Venus frequently gets mistaken for a UFO. To viewers on Earth, the second planet from the sun appears as bright as a bright light that hangs in the sunset sky, seeming to slowly hover in the twilight as it outshines every star except for the sun. Because Venus orbits the sun inside our own orbit, from our perspective, it constantly darts out on either side of the sun, which can seem UFO-like. Massey said that Jupiter and Venus will be visible right after the sunset in the west-southwest and will move westward and down toward the horizon as the night progresses. They will appear closest together March 13th, will remain close for several subsequent nights. Venus will be the brighter of the two. And some of these comments are pretty interesting because, like one of them says, good way to cover up two gigantic UFOs that will be hovering over the skies, making observations of the human population that has been okayed by the ruling governments. That's interesting. That's just what they want you to believe. It's all a conspiracy. They're watching us. Roman gods are UFOs. Strange. Yeah, that is interesting too, isn't it? Yeah, that you would have these, Roman god things that are, make sure the Roman gods are not UFO or not aliens. But weren't the gods aliens? Shut up. And one person says, I just saw two UFOs in the night sky. They were stationary and looked a lot like Venus and Jupiter. I don't know. What do you guys think? So, I mean, could it be that, these, they're telling us, oh, don't worry, those aren't UFOs. Those are just planets. It's definitely possible. I don't know. Interesting nonetheless. Classified documents contradict FBI on post 9/11 probe of Saudis. Former Florida Governor Senator Bob Graham, who chaired Congress' joint inquiry on the 9/11 terrorist attacks, has seen two classified FBI documents that he says are at odds with the Bureau's public statements that there was no connection between the hijackers and Saudis then living in Sarasota, Florida. Well, I get into some of that, the connections to Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi businessman, and his connections to people like Carla Khan and some of these other people that were connected to 9/11 hijackers. So, absolutely. I mean, there was absolutely a connection to that, and that's been covered up for years and not been talked about. I mean, hell, even Thomas Keane was connected to all that stuff. The head of the 9/11 Commission. I mean, doesn't it make sense to you that he would make the head of the 9/11? I can't even speak. The head of the 9/11 Commission be a guy that was directly involved with the Saudis? Then they make another guy, the guy that was the head of the Pakistani ISI, the go-between. They make him vice president. I mean, it's just funny to see how many people who had connections to Saudis and the Pakistani ISI and all these different terrorist organizations and were working in tandem with the CIA and our government, the Pentagon, prior to 9/11. It's funny to see how many after 9/11, and specifically in the Obama administration, how many of these guys have went on to high-level positions. That's how you can tell who the real conspirators are the guys that are climbing the ladder and what their positions were prior to 9/11 and what their positions were after 9/11. You look at that and look at those connections to Saudis and the ISI and everything else, and it just, it becomes very clear real quick who was involved with what. And that's what's so funny is 9/11 was being put into place. And it's funny how many connections there are to people on the left-wing side of things, right-wing side as well, both sides. But specifically, it's funny to me that it appears when you actually do the research that 9/11 was being planned during the Clinton administration, maybe even before that. Cross-dressing pharaoh found in her feminine form. Hatshepsut ruled Egypt in the 15th century BC in a relatively long and prosperous reign. Despite her success as a female pharaoh, she's often depicted as a man in statues because the belief that pharaohs were sons of the god Amun-Ra. Hatshepsut also dressed as a man to meet this expectation. A statue uncovered in Abydos, Egypt, is thought to show her more feminine side. So we can see why the elites. That's another good example of why these elites are all homosexuals and inbreeders and everything else. That's what these bloodline fuckers have been doing since time immemorial. So, they keep it in the family. That's how they like it. 3 veterans groups are seeking class action status for a lawsuit they filed in 2009 against the Defense Department, the CIA, and the Army on the belief that thousands of soldiers who participated in research programs at Edgewood Arsenal in Fort Detrick, the trade publication U.S. Medicine reported. The lawsuit alleges that chemical and biological weapons were tested on soldiers, that the military failed to provide follow-up care for the symptoms they developed, and that nearly all disability claims related to the tests have been denied. CNN reported about the tests earlier this month, prompting some former soldiers to share their experiences with the network. One was given sarin gas and its antidotes, along with other injections that remain a mystery, and later was found to have damage in his heart. Another developed Parkinson's disease that he blames on the numerous injections and pills that he was given at Edgewood. He was never told what they contained. According to U.S. Medicine, the lawsuit seeks no monetary damages, but would require the U.S. military to notify the test participants what chemicals they were exposed to, as well as the doses and the methods of administration. It would also require the federal government to provide health care for veterans suffering from diseases related to tests. And that's been going on forever, and it continues to go on to this day. If you don't have insurance in the UK now, and I'm sure this will be coming to the United States sooner than later, gas stations will now be monitoring your license plate with cameras in the UK, and they'll be able to tell from those cameras whether you have insurance or not, and it'll just, boop, won't let you fill up with any gas. You won't be able to get anywhere. Isn't that wonderful? So more and more, you know, they went for the planes first. 9/11 when terrorism was great for that. But you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be locking down transportation and our ability to freely travel more and more. And they're going to be, you know, going for highways and automobiles and the rest of this stuff next. Especially in the financial climate where a lot of people can't afford car insurance. So what's that do? Well, that makes them prey on it more because that subsidizes their money and their lack of income. I mean, that's, you know, law enforcement, all that stuff. It's just another way to suck your money out and keep you a serf and to keep the big cats in power. That's all it is. It's not there to keep you safe. It's there to suck you dry and keep you a pauper. And you're crazy if you think anything other than that. Wastewater injection well caused 12 earthquakes in Ohio. Investigation shows a wastewater injection well induced the series of 12 earthquakes in Youngstown last year. An ongoing state probe has concluded, and because of that, Ohio regulators on Friday unleashed a round of new permitting rules for injection well drilling that could limit or slow down the number of new injection wells as contractors scramble to comply with tougher rules. The regulations come on the eve of an unexpected boom in gas and oil drilling in the state, a boom that will also produce millions of gallons of naturally occurring salt water and chemically laced water used to fracture shale containing the gas and oil. In the 24-page preliminary report of its investigation into the quakes, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources has included a series of new permit requirements that says it go well beyond national standards. Among the requirements are mandates that injection well developers submit extensive geological mapping and other data before drilling. If such information does not exist or is incomplete, the developer will have to hire experts to do the seismic and other testing. So, that's the whole thing is, yeah, there'll be some results, and yes, there'll be some regulation on this. But the almighty dollar will always win out over anything else. And if these guys think they can get away and get around these regulations, you think laws have ever stopped these fucking clowns from doing what they want to do to get resources and money? Hell no. So I'm sorry, that's just a losing fight there. Oh boy, this could be a risky stance for the United States. But again, you know, when you look at the evidence, and I think the evidence proves that the global power structure has a vested interest in using the United States to achieve its agenda, and then flushing us down the fucking toilet and demonizing us once they're done with us. And I think this could go right along that way. U.S. adds Vatican to money laundering concern list. Uh-oh. Boy, this will either get shut down real quick and you'll never hear anything about it, or this will cause them to cut the throat of the United States a lot sooner than later. The Vatican, for the first time, has appeared on the State Department's list of money laundering centers, but the tiny city-state is not rated as a high-risk country. The 2012 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report was made public on Wednesday, And Washington's list of 190 countries classifies them in 3 categories of primary concern, of concern, and monitored. The Vatican is in the 2nd category, grouped with 67 other nations, including Poland, Egypt, Ireland, Hungary, and Chile. It was added to the list because it was considered vulnerable to money laundering and had recently established programs to prevent it, a State Department official has said. So, boom. Money laundering watch. I mean, my God, they control all the banks and all the bankers anyway, the guardians of the Vatican's treasury, as the Encyclopedia Judaica. Encyclopedia Judaica is this massive, sprawling volume of books that encompasses all things Jewish. And if you look at the Rothschild in there, it says guardians of the Vatican's treasury. Not hard to see why Jonesy has told you, oh, it's the bankers, it's the bankers, it's the bankers, and that nobody's above the bankers. But somebody is above the bankers, and the goddamn Jews admitted in their own publications. It's just shocking. DARPA's director will soon be a Google executive. Whoa, surprise, surprise, surprise. And we already know NSA and Google and Echelon have been in bed with each other for years. And what used to be a government-subsidized and funded intelligence gathering operation, Echelon, became Google and no longer needed government funding. You probably don't know Regina Dugan's name, but for the past 3 years, she's been director of DARPA, the military's research and development lab. In a few weeks, she'll be moving into an executive position at Google, becoming one of their most senior military officials to cross over to the private sector. The news that Google is hiring another executive, which comes by the way of Wired's Noel Shackman, isn't such a big deal, but the fact that she happens to have orchestrated one of the most innovative periods of battlefield technology might raise a few eyebrows. Yeah, and the fact that she's a woman. What in the world does Google have planned that it's hiring military leadership? Dugan's career in science and technology offers some clues, and based on what she told Fast Company last November, she appears to have a knack for innovating quickly. The defense world is like a mini society, she said. It has to deploy to any place in the world on a moment's notice, and it has to work in a life or death situation. The kind of focus, that kind of drive to ship an application really does inspire greater genius. And the constancy of funding that comes with that, in good times or bad, whether this party or that party is in power, also helps inspire innovation. My God. Wow. I like her. Regina Dugan, I like you. I like you, girl. I hope she's not a big, fat, ugly wildebeest. I hope she's hot because, man, that's a girl after my heart right there. You know, normally I don't go after minions of the Defense Department, but, man, that kind of open honesty right there, man, that turns me on. You hear that? You hear how much shit she let drop right there? The defense world is like a mini society? Well, I mean, those of us that research know that. So nice of you to offer that up. You know, anywhere there's a threat, we have to be willing to react to that. That kind of focus, that kind of drive to ship an application really does inspire greater genius. And the constancy of funding comes with that in times of good or bad. See, the constant funding of these military programs in times of good or bad, because, again, you always have a perceived threat of something. Whether this party's in power or that party's in power, it helps inspire innovation. So, you know, perceived threats, whether times are good or times are bad, as long as we keep perceived threats going, we can keep funding coming in constantly, and that will help us inspire new innovations for military technology. I mean, this is what DARPA and Google have planned. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff. Oh, God, she's got a... Oh, God, no, yeah, you're right. She's fucking scary. Never mind. Thanks for that picture, DJ. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Boy, she probably get reprimanded for that when I dropped that link in the chat room for you. Good God. But she did let some stuff slip there. That's pretty good. Scientists stumped by mysterious methane-packed foam making hog farms explode. You know how much methane a human body produces after death? A lot. You know how many dead bodies there probably are in hog farms all across the United States and everywhere else. So all of a sudden, this unexplained green foam is coming out of there, and the people were wondering, oh, scientists are baffled. Man, there ain't no telling how many bodies get dumped daily in pig farms, because pigs just, they'll destroy anything. I mean, I've seen stuff on like A&E before, some of these forensic file shows and stuff, where there was some mobsters that were suspected of doing this, and they had pretty good evidence of it, and they actually went and cut a bunch of these pigs open and actually were able to find digested DNA in their intestinal tracts that proved that they had been putting these bodies in these pig farms and just let the pigs go to town and destroy the bodies. It's one of the most effective ways to get rid of a human body that there is. And, where do you think all these DynCorp and Halliburton run sex slaves, what do you think they do with the bodies after they get rid of them? I mean, all the missing persons and homeless people and teenage runaways and everything. I mean, millions of people go missing all over the place every year, folks. Never turn up a hair ever again. And all of a sudden, here's this weird green methane goo coming out of the pig shit, And they're, scientists are baffled. Well, I'm not baffled. I got a pretty good idea what's causing it. Man, oh man, oh man. Let's see if we have anything else. Hell. Tonight. I think that's pretty much all we got tonight as far as news. Let's get into a little bit of reading tonight. We're starting a new chapter, so I'd like to maybe start this new chapter with you here tonight, and at least get into a little bit of this. Chapter 15 of Zechariah Sitchin's The End of Days, Jerusalem, a chalice vanished. In the 21st century BCE, when nuclear weapons were first used on Earth, Abraham was blessed with wine and bread at Shalem in the name of God Most High and proclaimed mankind's first monotheistic religion. 21 centuries later, a devout descendant of Abraham, celebrating a special supper in Jerusalem, carried on his back a cross, the symbol of a certain planet, to a place of execution, and gave rise to another monotheistic religion. Questions still swirl about him. Who really was he? What was he doing in Jerusalem? Was there a plot against him, or was he his own plotter? And was the chalice that has given rise to the legends about and searches for the Holy Grail? On his last evening of freedom, he celebrated the Jewish Passover ceremonial meal called Seder in Hebrew, with wine and unleavened bread together with his 12 disciples. And the scene has been immortalized by some of the greatest painters of religious art, Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper being the most famous of them. Leonardo was renowned for his scientific knowledge and theological insights. What his painting shows has been discussed, debated, and analyzed to this day, deepening rather than resolving the enigmas. The key to unlocking the mysteries we shall show lies in what the painting does not show. It is what is missing from it that holds answers to troubling puzzles in the saga of God and man on earth, and the yearnings for messianic times. Past, present, and future do converge in the two events. Separated by 21 centuries, Jerusalem was pivotal to both, and by their timing, they were linked by biblical prophecies about the end of days. To understand what happened 21 centuries ago, we need to roll the pages of history back to Alexander, who deemed himself the son of God, yet died in Babylon at the age of 32. While alive, he controlled his feuding generals through a mixture of favors, punishments, and even untimely deaths. Some, in fact, believed that Alexander himself was poisoned. No sooner did he die than his 4-year-old son and his guardian, Alexander's brother, were murdered and the quarreling generals and regional commanders divided between them the main conquered lands. Ptolemy and his successors, headquartered in Egypt, seized Alexander's African domains. See, there yet again, after Africa, even back in those days, weren't they? Seleucus and his successors ruled from Syria, Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and the distant Asian lands. The contested Judea with Jerusalem ended up in the Ptolemaic realm. So that's interesting. So we're that's the beginning, just the beginning of chapter 15 there. And so this is definitely going to be getting more into the just the origins of this stuff, the origins of religion, the origins of how this ties into. I think when we get through this, we're definitely gonna have a lot better insight as to the origins of this, these messianic returns and the end of times talk. And we already have seen that what religion and established religion has said about the quote unquote end times seems to be very different than what that actual reality is. So hopefully with more digging and more research and more reading, we'll be able to come to a much greater understanding of what that is. My current film project I'm working on is the Rock Wall film, and you can help us out with that. There's Chip and Banner there at my website for that. We also have the stream bill coming up due this Thursday, and we need to meet our goal on both of those this month. So please support our work at theglobalreality.com if you can, so we can continue and get this work done. And, again, just try to keep changing the landscape and keep trying to change the understanding of this stuff, because it's very clear that we have been missing the context and been missing a lot of information for years. And if we just continue to think it's bankers and Jews and Zionists and just, certain subsections, we're never going to have the whole picture. So please help me to continue in my quest to find the truth and hopefully bring some insight to help you in your quest. TheGlobalReality.com is my website, TheGlobalReality.com. You can also get my DVDs up there for sale. My name is Josh Reeves, and I love each and every one of you, and we will see you tomorrow for the broadcast. You guys have yourselves a great one. Take care.